Some people are born to defy the odds and break the rules. Ladies and gentlemen, meet Ben Nighthorse Campbell. Consider the man's contrary characteristics and paradoxical life experiences. He's the son of a Native American and a European immigrant. He has spent years in orphanages and foster care, yet became one of the 44 chiefs of the Northern Cheyenne tribe. He has been both a prison counselor and a police officer. In college, he was a fine arts major who later captained the 1964 U.S. Olympic judo team. This Democratic congressional candidate switched to the Republican Party after being elected, and he was reelected. He's a legislator who formed a motorcycle, quote-unquote, gang. This badass biker dude makes delicate jewelry and sculptures that are world-renowned. As a former senator, he dropped everything to drive to the Capitol Christmas tree. 4,000 miles to the nation's capital just for the fun of it. And because he still had an active CDL. Ben Campbell is a man who has traveled in the upper echelons of society, but has retained his everyman humanity and charming approachability. Now, some might see many divergent pursuits as an element that just simply don't mix, but they don't know Ben Campbell. Because of Ben, such varied facets are evidence of an active, creative mind and decades spent in the pursuit of beauty, experience, and righteousness. His good nature bellies a tough upbringing and tumultuous adolescence. His father was often gone looking for work, and his mother's ill health left her unable to care for Ben and his sister. Now, things could have gone either way, and such experiences might have made another guy bitter. But as he explained, "That must have been so terrible," people always tell me. But I look back on it and I think that it was one of the best things that ever happened to me. It made me very self-reliant and independent. If you have nobody to rely on, then you've got to do it yourself. He early turned to jewelry making, a skill learned from his father, developing the necessary patience, skills, and keen eye. A stint in the Air Force taught discipline, and a chance meeting with another field hand while in between jobs introduced him to the sport of judo. Full immersion followed, including 4 years of intensive study in Japan and a place on the first U.S. Olympic team for the sport. Injury, college, and an awakening to reconnect with his personal heritage took Ben back to jewelry making and provided the opening to reveal and revel in his native culture. When he moved to Colorado, a friend suggested that he run for office, and opportunities opened wide for him to positively impact Native Americans in a lasting fashion. As a legislator, Ben built a reputation as a uniter, connecting people with opposing views and finding resolutions. I'm really a great advocate of Dr. Martin Luther King's way of addressing things. We should have social change through a civil discourse and not by simply ganging up on each other. Well, that's tough to do at the neighborhood bar, but it's an astounding accomplishment in the halls of Congress, where Ben spent almost 20 years at both state and federal levels. During his tenure, Ben was responsible for the passage of major bipartisan pro-Native American legislation on topics such as law enforcement, education, transportation, healthcare, national museums and parks, and the landmark Indian Gaming Legislation Act. He quickly became known as the motorcycle riding senator. It didn't always pay dividends, though. I used to ride my bike to work in Washington, D.C. because it was easy to park. One time, Clinton called us over to come to the White House. I was following Senator Kennedy and Senator Hatch, who were in their limos in front of me at the back of the gate. It's guarded, not open to the public. At the gate, the guard said, "Good morning, Senator Kennedy. Come on in." "Good morning, Senator Hatch. Come on in." Then, "Okay, buddy, off the bike." I took off the helmet and he said, "Oh, gee, I'm sorry, Senator." Mike Lovato, a longtime friend and co-founder with Ben of the Four Corners Motorcycle Rally, recalls another story. When Ben was first in Washington, D.C., a mugger observed him cashing a check and spotted him as an easy mark. But instinct and judo training rose to the top, and Ben knocked the crap out of that guy. Mike added, "People would see me around with him and wanted to know if I was his bodyguard. It was more like the other way around." Like some of the other things that Ben's been involved with, starting a motorcycle rally happened organically. While Mike was an Abate district rep in Colorado and traveling for an oil company, Ben was living in Ignacio, serving in the state legislature. They crossed paths often and connected over common goals. "We were talking about the same things, me on a small scale, Ben on a large one," said Mike. Friends said to both of them separately, "You live in a great place to ride. When are you going to have us down for a get-together?" Said Mike. Durango was already a motorcycle destination. It was serendipitous. We were just lucky to be in the right place at the right time. A long-haired Native American U.S. senator who rode motorcycles and an Abate rep who worked at an oil company. Why wouldn't it work? The first Four Corners Motorcycle Rally took place in 1992, and it grew from there. Ben and I struck a match, and a lot of other people lit flames from that. We didn't do it on our own," he added. Mike also tells this story. To promote Four Corners Motorcycle Rally, we'd go to other events and hand out flyers. On a ride to Laughlin, we were tired and hungry, and we just got there and we went right to the buffet line, all leathered up and dirty. A bunch of women on a bridge convention or something were in front of us. They told us that they had talked to some other bikers, and the bad stories weren't true. Bikers really were nice. They have insurance and jobs and come from all walks of life. Then they asked Ben, "What do you do?" He said, "If I tell you, you wouldn't believe me." They insisted, so he told them he was a U.S. Senator from Colorado. In unison, they said, "We don't believe you." And honestly, who could blame them? This character, a self-effacing Harley rider with a willing handshake, cloaked in a Renaissance man who was always seeking, constantly learning, and recognizing an opportunity when it was presented. Ben is a man who pulls at the threads to make a whole cloth, envisioning the finished piece long before the rest of us have even recognized the fabric. Maybe it's not so much that Ben broke other people's rules, but more that he courageously and compellingly made his own rules, then won others over to the sense of his ideas with his ready smile, grassroots integrity, and disaffected attitude. Ben's life is a testament to developing a concoction of skills based on both desire and necessity, then applying them when the serendipity of circumstance allowed. Now that might look like rule breaking to some people, but to Ben Nighthorse Campbell, he makes it look like something else altogether. He makes it look like success. So tonight we honor him as the inaugural inductee at the Four Corners Motorcycle Rally Hall of Fame. A recognition that may pale in comparison to his other accomplishments, but one that we hold very dear thanks to our shared passion for motorcycle riding. Maybe those ladies in the buffet line were right. Motorcyclists do come from all walks of life. It's two wheels that bring us together, just as Ben has united others his whole life long.